Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and welcome to the market analysis for December 14, 2017. Today I'm going to go over 5 trade opportunities that have either just occurred or are about to occur. Now, if they all go as I'm expecting, we could be looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of pips. So I'm just going to get straight into it and go through each of these opportunities and why I think there is great potential for the earning of some pips. Now, before I do though, make sure if you haven't already to pop into the chat room in the members area. Just click the big chat room button, and you'll find me and a bunch of active traders there. It's a really enjoyable experience. We're all learning from each other, but most importantly, you can ask for feedback and get my posts on a daily basis. I'm in there every trading day, and throughout the day, if I see something of interest, I will typically post it in the group. So that is the quickest way and the best way to be able to get that actionable information. So bear that in mind. But anyway, let's get straight into it. Pound Kiwi. Now this was posted in the chat room a couple of days ago. We took this trend trade that formed here. It was a little bit far from the moving average, but there was a lot of momentum behind it. And so I took that. It's since gone down about 200 pips. Let's have a look at where it's sitting now. Yeah, 211, 12 pips. It's gone as low as about 250 pips. I've got the second part of my trade still open. My first trade has been completed. It was taken out for profit earlier on, but that's the name of the game. It's all about converting that equity into capital. In the meantime, I've still got one trade open with the stop locked in here. Now it's hit target 1, this golden dash line, the second target, and the third target just missed out on. But I am not concerned. We're in a sell-only directional market, and I just want to bring something up to your attention that I find really interesting, and that's the daily chart. So as you can see here, we've got a big rally upward, and there has never been a downward trend trade set up on the daily chart until today. Now it's still got to complete the day to be confirmed. The trade assistant won't take the trade until that daily bar has been finished. But if you're already in the 4-hour trade, then it's a matter of holding on. If it goes against you, then I would very much expect a consolidation and another swing down. And the reason why I think this trade is so potentially valuable as an opportunity is on the daily chart. You can see there's a lot of blank space here. We've got a pivot low here and a pivot low here. So let's have a look at what we're looking at right from the current price. There's about around 300 pips to this pivot low, and there's about 740 pips to this pivot low. Now, if it goes beyond that, obviously we're in La La Land, 1,500 pips. Now, it's uncommon for a person to be able to hold a trade for that long, but it does happen, and that's exactly what the institutions do. They don't care about what happens hour to hour, 4 hour to 4 hour, even day to day. They're interested in the bigger picture, what's going to happen over the next few weeks. So the idea is if you do get stopped out for profit, go back in when a valid swing trade or trend trade occurs on either the 4 hour or even a lower time frame, the 1 hour. But anyway, as long as price sticks lower than this pivot low here, which is really where it's sitting on right now, just under that 191 level, there's a good chance that this pair is going to experience further drops. So getting back to the 4 hour, okay, you can see here it's under pressure. RSI is below the 50, and the MACD is below the 0 line. Now, if it does swing up a little bit, a swing down, we'll see, I believe, a another move down towards the 190 level. That'll hit my target 3, and then it's just a matter of selecting the trail methodology. Now currently I've got it on the PSAR, but that because of the momentum of the move, I'll more than likely change that to the slow moving average, even the fast moving average. But because I've already locked in pips, probably the slow moving average, and I'll give the trade some decent room to move, because even though it was taken on the 4-hour, I'm now playing the daily chart, and swing down to this level here is going to really see further falls, more than likely. Nothing's guaranteed in trading, but more than likely you're going to see a further downward move as more and more traders get in on the action, realizing that support hasn't been solidified. There's no bounce happening, and therefore they're going to short the pair. So I'll park it back onto the 4-hour. That's the pound Kiwi. Now, the Aussie CAD. This is another one that I announced about a day and a half ago, and it was a swing trade. It wasn't a trend trade; it was a swing trade, but close to the inception of the trend, which is, of course, the crossover of the moving average, and also the pip distance as far as where it actually occurred was not great at all. So nice swing. Went above all the recent highs, and we saw some nice momentum. Took a few bars actually to actually hit target 1, this consolidation patch here. But then overnight, my time anyway, it went on to hit target 1, target 2, target 3. Now the trade assistant was managing it while I was having my beauty sleep, and you can see the stops locked in on both parts of the trade. So here's why I think there's more room for upward move on the Aussie CAD. Now, for a start, it's broken past this recent high here, which is the obvious recent high, and it's gone further on to this target 3. But just like the pound Kiwi, we need to look at the daily chart for the fuller picture. Now, this is almost the reverse of the pound Kiwi. We are looking at a new daily upward trend. Now, it hasn't been formed yet. The moving average crossover has occurred, but to be confirmed, we need to wait for that daily bar to close, and then it'll be a official or valid trend trade to the upside. So let's say it closes around that target 3 level. There's still about 120 pips to this pivot high and about 280 pips to this pivot high. So, on the Aussie CAD, that's really good. And there's plenty of room to move on this trade. So if you haven't traded, or if you haven't got in on this trade already, you can do one of two things. You can wait or hope for a consolidation and catch a swing on the 4-hour, even though it's high, but only on the basis that the daily time frame is looking like potentially surging for upward. Or you can just trade it purely on the daily chart. Now, to do that, you can actually change these higher time frames to daily, weekly, monthly. I'm not going to do it in this video, but it's really simple to do. The quick reference guide has all the details, but just double click on the smiley face and you'll be able to change the higher time frames to daily, weekly, monthly, so you have 6 high time frames built in there. But you can see here there's a point of reference here for the recent high on the daily chart, which was back in October, and this high in July, if this breaks, then it's likely for this to be tested as well. So that's 2 trades. We've got the pound Kiwi, we've got the Aussie CAD. Both of them are in good profit already if you've taken them already in the 4-hour or on a lower time frame. Again, pop into the chat room. It is really worthwhile to get this information when it's actually happening, because of course there's a bit of a delay with the production of these videos, and quite often they happen so quickly that I won't bother about the video analysis and just post in the chat room. So I can't stress that enough. Next trade opportunity, the euro. Euro pegged against the US. Now it is bidirectional. That's 3 high time frames are pointing up, 3 are pointing down. But what I like about it is that it's this is on the 4-hour, by the way. Moving average crossover has just occurred. Now, to be confirmed, we need this bar to close. Now, anywhere where it closes, even if it goes down, I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing as far as getting in at a better price. But, if it closes, say, around here, I'd be really happy because it's, being supported by these recent highs, this one here and right over here. So let's just line it up. If it closes at around 181.15 thereabouts, that would be a really good trade. A little bit far from the moving average crossover, so your stop's going to have to be around 55 pips thereabouts. But you've got 60 pips there to this pivot high. You've got 125 pips here. I mean, you'd obviously want to take, well, not obviously, but just a note: always place your targets a little before the goal that you're looking at. So on a buy trade, you want to place your targets prior to the highs. On a sell trade, you want to place your targets above the lows that you're aiming for. But anyway, on a high, you want to place say a profit locking target here around 55 pips, and again around here around 110 pips, and maybe say 140 pips for your third target. So if it goes on beyond that, and the reason why I think there's plenty of opportunity is, Euro's been taking a little bit of a hammering recently, and the Trend Profiteer Trader System has been picking that up. But if we go to the weekly chart, well, actually, let's go to the daily, because we looked at the daily on the pound Kiwi and the Aussie CAD. Now, technically, it did form a sell trade, but on price action alone, it's pretty much failed. So if we look at the weekly, that is really important to me, because you can see since February of this year, it's been going, pretty much one direction. We had that correction, another little move upward, resumption of the upward trade, or the upward trend. We've had another little correction over the last 2 weeks. So what's it going to do now? Well, it's looking pretty good. MACD is above the zero line. If that changes to green, then certainly, it's another swing on the weekly time frame. It's going to be 2 days before the week ends. But, on the 4-hour here, this is how you can get in on those big trades and secure some good pips with the stability of the higher time frames, being in line with those higher time frames. So there's about 110 pips, 100 pips if you wanted to be conservative on the high here. You might want to place a high here as well. Sorry, profit locking target around here, around 45 pips. That's not quite one to one on your stop, but if you wanted to do that, then it's a 2 to 1 if you wanted to place it around 100 pips, 110 thereabouts, but that's pushing it a little risky. So, there's plenty of opportunity here for some good pips to be had. There's some really strong momentum that's just occurred. The stochastic has just changed over. MACD's got a nice steep incline. RSI's already above the 50 line. So, with the weekly confirming at the end of the week, if it does, and that's going to change to a green as well. It'll be 4 out of 6. It'll be buy only. I think there's a lot of room for movement in this trade, and in fact, if I wanted to take it straight away, I could, but I'm going to wait until the bar closes for confirmation of that. But remember, you've got your manual commands to be able to take a trade and then have it managed automatically by the trader assistant just by typing in "go long." So moving right along, the pound pegged against the US. This trade looks pretty hot. It moved upward for quite some distance, and we are now seeing a nice emergence of a trend trade. Trend followers just turned to green. The moving averages are just about to cross over. RSI is above the 50. MACD is above the zero line. The stochastic is all changed over, and 6 out of 6 high time frames are pointing up. So I'd like to see this parabolic SAR be taken out now. stands for, well, it's stop and reverse, the SAR part. So this is commonly used by traders of identifying the changing of a trend. So particularly if this, now we've already seen a correction to the downside and then a retracement. So if it pops up above here, above this parabolic SAR, it would be a really, in my opinion, nice trade. There's about 80 pips on the stop, but to this high, again, about 80 pips, and this high here, we've got 110 pips. So just moving on to the daily, we can see that it is in the middle of a daily trend. And if we look at the weekly, it's been fairly modest in growth, but this trade is a good opportunity right now, in my opinion. Now, it may go on for quite some time. It may not, but as a 4-hour standalone trade setup, it's looking at forming a nice trend trade setup. Now, of course, this is only for educational purposes. I'm providing these trade opportunities as I see them, these trade setups. So whether they take off or not, I do have a pretty good track record in the trend Profiteer system is excellent. Years of work has gone into this, but I'm just putting in a little disclaimer there as a word of caution. So the fifth and final trade that I want to look at today is gold. Gold pegged against the US. Now it's taken a beating. The US dollar now has been moving downward. There's a fundamental reason for that. I don't get into fundamentals too much, but essentially the Reserve Bank came out and said that they will be, or statement along the lines of they will be raising the rates 3 times next year, the interest rates, that is. Now, that was expected. They've said it before, but the market was a little bit disappointed because there was some speculation of a 4th interest rate rise going up. But regardless of that, personally, I like to live in my own little world and focus on the technicals. There's always fundamentals at play, but it can be dangerous to focus your trading just on the fundamentals. But anyway, that's the reason why the US dollar is falling at the moment. Personally, I always see the action happening before the excuse comes out on the fundamentals. To me, I've always said watching news is like watching the History Channel. The technicals are always, well, often bring up the information that I'm looking for as a trader before the fundamentals come out, and next thing you see it as a headline in the news. US dollar fell because of this reason. Well, anyway, the gold. The reason that I bring it up is when the US dollar is going down, gold's going up. It's just the seesaw relationship they have between themselves. So right now, on a technical basis, gold has surged over the last couple of bars, this bar in particular, and we're looking good as far as an opportunity. Now, you may say, Michael, but what about the direction is staring me at the face, is saying down? Well, yes, but it's already moved to the downside from when that signal was given, over 4,500 pips, and moved $47 from 12.83 to 12.36. So there's every cent is a pip. There's 100 cents in a dollar, therefore 100 pips. So $47. 4,700 pips. Now, what I'm looking at is that as soon as this bar closes, these moving averages will cross over. The bar after that will confirm it. So it's this bar and the next bar. So this is forward information. The last 3 trades may or may not happen. This thing might just crash. But right now, as a trader, it's really important to see what's on the horizon, what could happen, and be ready for it. Okay, so in other words, what I'm saying is don't react to trade opportunities, respond to trade opportunities. In other words, be ready for them, and that is what makes a good trader, by not by not on the cuff, just taking a trade because an alert pops up. I mean, you want to have some knowledge about that pair before you make that important, serious decision of what to do on a trading perspective. So anyway, once this bar closes, there's one more bar to close to confirm it. You could take it early with the go long manual command, and once again, it'll be traded automatically from that point forward. But once this bar closes, and the next bar, well, actually, once this bar closes, that high time frame will turn to green. Okay, so it'll be 3 green arrows, and that makes it a bidirectional market. So let's look at it on the daily. Just bringing it up. Okay, so on the daily, we've got, it's not that pretty. We have had a counter move upward, but what's more important is the weekly. And the weekly, even though technically it's looking downwards, it's been very, very flat. And this MACD, once it moves up just a touch, in other words, if the 4-hour gains momentum and moves up, this MACD is going to be affected as well. So this weekly swing is going to immediately change to green. Okay, so that would mean that we will have, going back to the 4-hour, this one's going to change and this one's going to change. That'll be, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the higher time frames will be up out of 6. That means it's buy only. Okay, it's had its run as far as I'm concerned to the downside, and arguably cheap. Gold at 1,255, great opportunity, and it's still an excellent asset to hold. And well, I won't get into Bitcoin, but $17,000 a Bitcoin when it was a fraction of a cent years ago. I mean, come on. Gold is where it's at, but regardless of that, I'm not going to get into that other than I already have. But this technically is a great setup. There's a lot of momentum behind it. If it holds around here, particularly if it holds above this resistance here, or these highs, okay, so if price holds above $1,251, say 1,251.50, 1,252 thereabouts. Personally, I think it's a good trade, and there's plenty of opportunity to the upside. So let's say it just closes around where it's at. Let's say it closes at 1,255. There is over 4,300 pips in this trade, and that's just based on the 4-hour alone. Okay, so once again, if we go back to the weekly, there's even more opportunity than that. We can be looking at from where it is now to this high. We've got 12,000 pips. How about that? Now, again, it's very hard to hold on to a trade for that long. Unless, and this happens, you go on holidays for a couple of weeks or longer, you forget the trade open, you come back and it's 12,000 pips up. Now, that's not necessarily how to trade, but once again, as I was saying earlier, the institutions are playing for the long term, not for the short term. Okay, so these historic values of the past give us guidance of where fair market price should be, and that's what it's all about. Fair market price. Is it too cheap? Therefore, you can expect a bit of support to take on, and for the price to go up. Is it too expensive? Therefore, you can expect price to fall. In this case, I think it's good value. We need to wait for the trade setup to be confirmed. So there you have it. Pound Kiwi, short, Aussie CAD, long, Euro, US, long, Pound US, long, and gold, long. That's what I'm looking at. It's an exciting day. Good luck out there. Take it easy with your trades, with the lot sizes as well. There's no get rich quick. Don't sell the farm, put up the farm for a trade. Take it nice and easy. Good opportunities are like buses. There's always another one around the corner. But for today, these opportunities, 2 of them are already in profit. 3 of them are upcoming. I wish you good trading. Until next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.